I was watching one of these survivalist sort of programs, very Bear Grylls-esque, humans trying to survive extreme situations sort of show. And the guy was talking about how this sort of extreme situations take out everything else from your brain except for act or die. He was talking about how your brain would restore to thinking about the next few seconds or minutes or hours instead of the usual sort of rambling it would resort to. This was very curious for me because I've read and debated about this phenomenon of man cannot suffer without meaning a lot. For context, this concept came from a existential psychologist called Viktor Frankl, who was put in a concentration camp during the Holocaust times. And what's more of an extremist survival situation than Holocaust camps? It is equally life threatening, if not more, than a rough terrain. But both the arguments sounded so sane to me, and the possibility of your brain acting either way still sounded sane to me. This is not one of those situations where duality can coexist. It should be pretty binary, right? So, is meaning relevant or not in extreme situations? I think it's more of like what sort of suffering are we talking about? In concentration camps, it was more of like long term, enduring sort of suffering. They were literally stripped off of any sort of chance of escaping such torment. There is no action that they can make to help them survive the situation, or no agency for that matter. Let's say you're stuck out there in a natural terrain. Action is still possible, right? When I was watching the show, I was thinking along the line of I have no chance of surviving out there because I have no skill that is required to survive that sort of nature sort of situation. I wouldn't know how to be resourceful or what to do in that circumstances as effective as possible. But I would still have the chance to take an action. I could still use my common sense and whatever the little education that I've had to do something. I would probably gather some wood, make a fire. I would still have some sense to what to do. Maybe just put together some sort of logics to ensure my safety or my of getting out of that situation. But in a concentration camp sort of situation, there's literally nothing you can do. No more actions are even remotely available. You are just going to sit and wait your inevitable horrifying end. So maybe when you're removed of all sorts of action and you're left at a position of like there's nothing else to do except for endure, I think that's when your brain starts to ask you what's the point. I think all of us would have experienced that at least once in our lives, if not being exposed to extreme natures or Holocaust or stuff like that. But I'm sure we would have all felt backed into a corner where there is no more actions possible. And it's very clear that you, whatever that comes is going to come and you're going to have to endure through it. I think that's when the question of like, what's the point starts to creep in. But I think what's the point will vanish the second you retain your agency. Because that's exactly what the option of I'm able to take an action to survive this is giving you agency. So even in a situation where you are backed up into a corner and you're still not able to see a sort of way out, in a practical solution. What is the point is a question that comes up as an attempt to retain your agency. I think that's fucking fascinating. That humans need to preserve their agency even in situations like that, backed up into a corner.